Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Fix It in the Mix. Now that phrase is one that I do not like to use or prefer not to hear, but occasionally things sneak through in recording sessions. You think it sounds good at the time and then later on you realize you didn't quite capture a good sound or there's problems with it. Or maybe you've been sent a track to mix and there's a sound in it that is just not working and you know you need to fix this. Obviously, you want to get great source tones, but sometimes there's no option. You have to try and fix it in the mix. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some harsh electric guitars in a pop punk track. So when I was sent these tracks to mix, they also included a DI. So at any point, if I felt like I couldn't get the guitar tone to sound right, I could always go reamp the guitar. But preferably, I always try and use the guitar tone that's provided unless it's shockingly bad. So in this case, I think we can fix this and make it work.
I've got all I ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet.
So taking away a little bit of that harsh resonance in the top end and making them sound a bit thicker and fatter in the mix. So I'll run you through the processing that I use to tame those upper mids and just get this to sit in the mix a bit better rather than just going and reamping the guitar, because there is a good tone in there. It just needed to be fixed. So the first plugin we got is just Pro Q3. You can see these are the EQ moves that I've done. So let's have a listen to this in solo. So a lot of times when you have to fix something, EQ is going to be your best friend. So let's just turn all of these off and I'll run you through what they're doing. Okay, so when I listen to this guitar, my ears are drawn to that scratchy top end, and it's a little too much, and especially in the mix, like it's sort of all you can hear poking through. The first thing I've done is just a wide cut with a bell at 2.9K, and that's kind of in between two frequencies that are quite bright up here. So you have a look on the analyzer in the background, you'll see that it's sort of peaking around 2.4K. and around 4.5K. So I've just done a bell roughly in between the two of those and pulled it down. Rather than being like surgical and like grabbing each of those frequencies, we're just gonna try and do it in a more gentle way that's a bit more natural. Because when you start doing lots and lots of cuts, it starts to sound unnatural and it starts to get a little bit yucky sounding. So let's have a listen to what this sounds like as we bring this down. Just sounds way nicer, a bit more balanced. The guitar sounds thicker and fuller. Now I've got typical kind of roll off, dealing with any low end rumble. Kind of around 100 Hertz is good. And then just rolling off some of that ultra high frequency that's not really needed up here. And I've pulled down on the Q a little bit, just to roll off the top end even a bit more. Sounding pretty good. Now there's a couple little notches in here on some frequencies that were kind of cluttering things up in the context of the mix.
I've got all I ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet. Feel the earth on the tip of my tongue. Dance forever, 'cause we're
some like kind of honky mid-range that's kind of cluttering in with the vocals. A bit of a frequency around 330 Hertz that was sort of just woofing through the mix and just sort of clouding things up a little bit.
I've got all I ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet. Feel the earth on the tip of my tongue.
That sounds pretty cool. And we've done like a 3.8 dB boost to kind of level mash this a bit, so that when we bypass the EQ, the levels are very similar to before, but it should just sound a lot bigger and thicker because we're not focusing on those high frequencies as much.
I've got all I ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet. Feel the earth on the tip of my tongue.
All right, that's our first plugin. So next up, we have the Old Faithful BX Console SSL 4000E, and we're just doing half a dB boost at 1.3K with just kind of a medium bell. So we're just bringing in a little bit of mid-range, boosting a little bit of color there. And we also have a 1 dB boost with a shelf at 100 Hertz. So just trying to thicken up that low end a little bit. And then a little bit of compression. But because we're processing on a bus here, I haven't got the linking gauge. So that means it's kind of like dual mono, which means that the compressor reacts differently to the left and right signals. So because the guitars are hard pan left and right, this means that they're going to be compressed independently. So we've got a 4:1 ratio, a medium release time, and just about 3 dBs of gain reduction.
I've got all I'll ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet, feel the earth on the tip of.
So that one's pretty subtle. It's just adding a little bit of color, just giving it a little bit of massage with the compressor. And then our last plugin is Pro MB, multi-band compression. And we just have a band set up in the low end, around 100, 120 Hertz. This is where you kind of get those little woofy frequencies from time to time. And we just got this set to a fast attack, fast release. The ratio is just 4:1, and it's about a 6 dB range. And we just have the threshold, so it's just reacting every now and then when a bit of low frequency comes through.
I've got all I'll ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet.
So this just makes sure that the low end doesn't get out of control. Okay, so here's our chain. Let's listen to it again. I'll turn it off and on.
I've got all I'll ever need, the music in my soul, the love at my feet, feel the earth on the tip of my tongue, dance forever 'cause we're forever young. Or maybe only.
So to my ears, this sounds a lot better. Because we've cut and reined in some of those high frequencies, now the cymbals on the drums don't get as clouded as much, and the vocals get a bit more attention. Your ears are more drawn to them as opposed to the bright harshness of the guitars, because things that are brighter come more forward in the mix. So that was a really bright guitar sound that was sort of taking up the attention of the whole mix, whereas now we've kind of pulled it back into the mix and it's a bit more glued and fixed sounding. So there you go. That's the first episode of Fix It in the Mix. So as a disclaimer, the EQ moves that I used there worked really well for me, but on your tracks, if you have some harsh guitars, they might not be the right EQ moves for you. It all depends on a lot of factors. So use your ears, try and find the problematic frequencies and rein them in. When possible, keep your EQing simple. Don't do heaps and heaps of little cuts. Try and find a nice wide cut that you can do, tone shape it a bit more, as opposed to getting really surgical and making things start to sound a bit unnatural. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support this channel, make sure you check out the description link below where you can go to my website and check out my range of drum samples. And also any of the affiliate links below, if you use those, it also helps support the channel as well. And if you're keen to check out some of my drum samples, check out this next video coming up where I run you through my Trigger 2 sample pack.